It's early January 2023. I'm Brian Doerksen here, and I'm joined via Zoom interview with my son-in-law, Luc van der Wert, Bene Müller in Switzerland, and his son, David. And the four of us teamed up just to do this music video about instruments of peace. And I thought it would be a good idea for us to have just a little conversation about the process of making the video. You know, this is a prayer for peace. It's based on a quite ancient prayer, the prayer of Saint Francis, though you know you can do your research and you know it's basically impossible for the actual Saint Francis to have written this prayer. But it kind of evokes his life and his way of life, and that feeling like here we are in 2023 and we desperately need to be reminded of this way of life, of being peacemakers. Anyway, so I wrote the song, and I had this idea of releasing it in January, and I always in my mind pictured snow. Bene and David live in Bern, Switzerland, just outside of Bern. And, you know, snow can be fickle. It's always in the mountains, but it's not always where they're living. And it's very kind of rare where Luke and I are living in Abbotsford, British Columbia. We're coastal. We don't get that much snow. And so we got a bit of snow. And we seized the moment on both sides of the world, and we headed out into the cold with our cameras and microphones.
Hear the horn? Yeah. Oh, peace.
Maybe let's start there. What was it like filming this in the snow for Bene and David over there in Switzerland?
It was our last chance. We had snow for some weeks. It was pretty cold and we had much snow, and it had already warmed up. So it was already raining the day before and we knew it's melting. So it was our last chance to film before it will be gone. So the next day it would have disappeared.
Wow.
Or it had disappeared the next day. So
right.
We had to be spontaneous. So we had a very limited time slot, maybe 1 hour to shoot it all, and then I had to leave, so we had just one take.
Well, one thing I kind of wanted to bring up that I thought was quite fascinating was we have the song that's Instruments of Peace, the actual yearning to be portrayers of peace, and for me, I thought it was fascinating to have a father and son working on a video together, because a lot of the time that tends to be a very strained relationship. For me, that just meant something special, and I would love to know if you guys don't want to, you know, don't have to air the dirty laundry per se, but how was it working together? And I would just kind of love to hear a little bit of what your working relationship is like.
As said, there was no time to have difficulties or any kind of arguments or whatsoever. Maybe that we had breakfast while it was dark and we're waiting that it's, you know, I think in our family food is important, food and to be with each other, and maybe that's why we were like relaxed to do the video, because we had the time to have conversation before and eat, and you know, maybe that's the secret behind it.
For me, it was just great to do it together with my son, just this little project, and to do it outside was quite different. Normally we just do it inside, but it was just great to do it together. And yes, it was last minute and quick shots, and it worked well. It's cool. We also, in our family, we also play music together. It's called Dad's Jazz, and it's a great privilege to do that together. sometimes they correct me and say, oh, Dad, you should play that this and this way. And for me, it's great. It's like a relationship, you know, on, I don't know how you say
On the same level.
Same level.
Same level.
Yeah.
And this is, for me, this is wonderful. It's just great. I do other projects with my children too, also musically or other things. And for me, we are quite used to that. And it's a joy to do that. It's a privilege to do things with your own children.
So it's interesting how much we had to change things from the original concept, because initially the first concept was we were going to have you, Bene, and David record the saxophone live in the snow, but saxophones being metal instruments and cold weather, not a great match for tuning and tonality. We had to kind of deviate a little bit on that, but I'm still so happy with how it turned out. It just shows how versatile of a player you are, and just shows how much you pour your heart into your instrument.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because Bene, here's a question for you. We gave you the song, like the melody line of the song, you hear that. We even gave you a couple of idea lines for the saxophone. But what you did, which I knew you were going to do, which is why I wanted you involved in this song, is you were going to improvise. You were going to feel things and just play. Talk a little bit about how you approach playing a sax part like this, the balance between following a line that's given and improvising.
There are two things I would like to say. 30 years ago, I wrote a song exactly but with the same words. Quite famous song in German and French. And for me, that was kind of nice, you know, to do it with you together. One thing also I would like to mention, it's one thing just to play music or good music, but it's another thing to play music in a relational context, you know, with people you know, you love, you do something together. I think that's a main thing to do something like that. What I try when I improvise, when I do things like that, I always try not to play while people are singing, just to fill kind of the gaps, and also to find melodies that are not the same like the singing. And I think that's one of the main things. Then another thing I think to improvise and to do things like that is just to find melodies one would not expect, something fresh and new you play. Making a poem, you don't look for phrases everybody says, but you look for terms and phrases one wouldn't say. So you're kind of surprised when you hear it, because it's just a little bit different. It's not only about music, it's about relationship, it's also about expression, and it's also about the content of the words.
It was so special when I heard your saxophone part and all of the little Bene-isms. You know, little pieces of your personality that I've known over the years that get expressed through your instrument. And David, I'm so grateful for you, what you did with the camera to kind of tell that story with the way you shot, the way you framed things, the way you moved with it, and to hear that you guys did that so quickly in such a little window of time that you had before the snow was gone. I don't know, makes it even more special to me that you were able to capture what you were able to capture. You know, who knows where this video goes, you know, and how long it lasts, but it finds its way. I've already had several emails from people that are going through hard things, and they say, I just found this video and it was such an amazing way to start the year, you know, like just to, and I think just the whole, I mean, literally the peacefulness of and the simplicity of it just being Bene's saxophone and my voice and the sound of wind and a few birds calling, which were calling when I was recording my vocal in -10, standing, you know, out there. I don't know, it feels completely unique and special, and I'm so grateful that we got to do it together.
We were talking about it because the short time frame, and our conclusion was if we have had much more time, we are not sure if the results would have been better.
Right.
Sometimes first takes or spontaneous things, sometimes it's good. Your experience that in studio is similar, right?
Yeah, I had a professional studio, and most of the time the second take, that was the best take. You bring what you are and what you have, what you know, and it's not about the highest level you can get, but it's a good average you can present, and which is enough, which is great.
For some reason, with this song called Instruments of Peace, I kept on hearing the saxophone. It's not like people think of Brian Doerksen music and they think, oh, that's the main instrument that comes to mind, is saxophone. You know, I don't have that many songs that feature a saxophone, but it felt like in this song, the saxophone could represent that longing, that yearning, that reaching for peace. And there's something about the human breath as it flows through that instrument, the metal of the saxophone. You feel some of the crackling, the breath, almost the saliva of the human being that's playing the instrument, flowing through it. And then, of course, I thought of you, Bene, because of our friendship and our mutual respect and relationship. And it's just been such a gift to do this with you, to have David involved, father and son over there, and over here in Canada, father and son-in-law, and you know, two families working at saying, hey world, let's make this year a year where we all, I don't know, slow down, pay attention to each other, choose peace, choose kindness, choose forgiveness, and let's keep, doing that in a beautiful way, telling stories.